All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking the dual mystery of an interstellar visitor named 3I/Atlas. And, this is a story about a really strange object from way beyond our solar system, but it's also a story about an even stranger reaction to it right here on Earth.
You see, after the object's recent pass by Mars, the biggest, loudest signal we're getting from our solar system isn't from the object itself. Not at all. It's the deafening sound of absolute silence from all the people who were supposed to be watching it. And that information vacuum, well, that has, paradoxically, become the most fascinating piece of data we have.
And look, let's be clear, this wasn't just some missed opportunity. I mean, think about it for a second. We had spacecraft from the US, Europe, the UAE, and China all perfectly positioned. They were all aligned to capture humanity's closest ever look at an interstellar traveler. So, why have we seen absolutely nothing? What is going on here?
Okay, so to really get a handle on this silence, we first have to dig into the object itself, 3I/Atlas. Because long before it even got close to Mars, this thing had already built up a remarkably strange rap sheet. A list of anomalies that really challenges what we think we know about objects out there in space.
So what you're looking at here, this isn't just one or two little quirks. No way. This is a list of 7 statistically independent oddities. We're talking about everything from its chemistry and its metal content to the way it flies and even how it reflects light. Honestly, any one of these would have scientists scratching their heads, but all 7 of them together in one object? That's not just weird. That's a genuine statistical anomaly.
So let's just dive into one of these, starting with its chemistry. The object has this ratio of about 8 parts carbon dioxide to 1 part water vapor. Now you might think, so what? Well, here's the thing. That's the kind of mix scientists expect to find way out in the freezing cold edges of a brand new solar system, not in a typical comet that's just passing through our neighborhood.
And this is where things get even weirder for the scientists trying to figure this out. Its chemical signature, its fingerprint really, it shows nickel, but without its usual sidekick, iron, which is odd. Then it moves with this perfect mathematical precision. It doesn't wobble from its gas emissions like every other comet we've ever seen. And then you've got this extreme negative light polarization, which is just a fancy way of saying that the light bouncing off of it is breaking all the rules for every single comet we've ever studied. It's just wrong.
And if all that physical strangeness wasn't enough for you, just look at its path. I mean, the trajectory it took, slicing right through the plane of our solar system, getting unbelievably close to Venus, then Mars, and then Jupiter. It's like a cosmic billiard shot, a geometric sequence that has a calculated probability of less than 1%. It's just wildly improbable.
So here's the bottom line. When you multiply 7 of these statistically independent oddities together, the room for a conventional explanation for just being a weird but natural comet, it completely evaporates. The math just doesn't work. And that's what brings us to the second, and maybe even deeper, mystery.
See, the object's strangeness, that's really only half the story. The other half, the part that's maybe even more mysterious, is the absolutely bizarre and coordinated reaction to it right here on Earth. At first, a US government shutdown seemed like a pretty plausible excuse for why NASA went quiet. Bureaucracy happens, right? But that doesn't explain why the European Space Agency went silent, and it definitely doesn't explain China. And China's silence, that might just be the most telling piece of data we have. Think about it. China's space program loves these moments. They typically jump at the chance to show off their tech, especially when a US rival stumbles. The fact that they didn't release a single image, not even a blurry one of what could have just been a dusty rock, that suggests this wasn't a missed opportunity. It was a deliberate, calculated choice to say nothing.
So all of this really forces us to consider a different possibility, that we're not just watching a series of unfortunate coincidences. What if this is a coordinated, informational blackout, a pause on a global scale, almost like an unnatural diplomatic truce, where everyone has agreed to stay quiet because of a shared uncertainty?
Okay, so if we assume the silence is deliberate, what could possibly justify it? I mean, what's the reason? Well, the answer might actually be found in some pretty well-established protocols for how you deal with potentially civilization-altering discoveries. Now, this isn't necessarily some grand conspiracy. It's more like prudent institutional risk management. This strategy of silence buys them precious time for 3 absolutely critical things. First, to verify everything independently across nations. Second, to manage the catastrophic risk of getting it wrong. And third, to craft a single, unified story to tell the world.
And here's the key thing to understand. The primary fear here, it isn't necessarily about the object itself. It's about the catastrophic consequences of publicly mislabeling what this object represents. When you're dealing with claims that have implications for our entire civilization, you've got to be proportionally cautious. You get one shot to get the story right.
So this unprecedented alignment, between powers that are normally competing, like Washington, Paris, and Beijing, it's all designed to ensure one thing: that when the story finally breaks, it's a single, survivable narrative, not 5 different contradictory stories from rival nations that could just spark chaos.
So while we're all down here grappling with this uncertainty, the object itself just keeps on going. It continues its journey, completely indifferent to all of our earthly anxieties.
Right now, as you can see, 3I/Atlas is in what astronomers call superior conjunction. Really, that's just a technical way of saying it's on the far side of the sun from our point of view, so we're totally blind to it. It's hidden in the sun's glare. We're going to have to wait until at least late November to get our eyes back on it and see what happened when it made its closest approach to the sun.
But here's something really important to remember. This silence, it can't erase the data that's already been recorded. It can't change the laws of physics. Whatever those spacecraft detectors picked up, whatever that electromagnetic radiation signature was, that happened. That visible reality is now set in stone. It's immutable. And so, here we are, left in this state of profound uncertainty, just waiting. We're waiting for what might be the most carefully, delicately constructed sentence humanity has ever had to assemble as a species. A sentence where every single word is being weighed for its incredible implications. The silence can't last forever, so when it finally breaks, what will we hear?